It was a perfect relationship. Now, Jesus was experiencing the ultimate abandonment from God the Father because he was human. God sent him here for him to feel that. In less than 24 hours, at that time, God was about ready to turn his back on his own son because he had to pay for our sins. I was like, wow. So Jesus is feeling all these emotions, and it's like his God the Father, the perfect relationship from eternity past is now gone. So you want to talk about feeling stressed and troubled and even to death, plunging into a sinkhole of agony. That's what Jesus was feeling. Jesus was experiencing the horror and the abandonment. It was so bad. Later on, when he died on the cross, he called out. He's like, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, which means, my God, why have you forsaken me? Like, my God, why have you forsaken me? That right there was the first time that Jesus referred to God the Father as my God. Everything was my Father, 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 Father. Here he's like, my God. Because he was human. That relationship was broken. God sent him down here. It was just, man. Jesus was human. He was feeling all the human pain because of our sins. Jesus was sinless. He did nothing wrong. He was sent here to feel all that pain because of the screw-ups we did. Like, man. Some of us were upset when a dude in Okinawa got in a car accident and he was drunk in a bongo truck or something. And then all of a sudden I can't have a beer. Like, we were suffering for some dude in Okinawa. And you want to talk about anger. Like, this whole camp, there's 150 of us, we were upset. Sergeant Major was losing his mind. He's like, I'm a Sergeant Major and I can't have a beer. Like, he could not leave base. We had to have little buddies, remember? Sergeant Major came to our building. I felt bad for him. Knocking on doors. Hey man, what are you doing? I was just like, what's up, Sergeant Major? What you need? I need a limo buddy so I can go a half a mile down the road and pick up my shirt from the cleaners. And I'm like, man, wow, you re-enlisted like 10 times, Sergeant Major. He's like, oh. So we were upset. It like ruined our life that we couldn't have a beer or leave base. Jesus was paying for our sins. Man, that's not fair. That's not fair at all. I was like, man, this is just crazy. The relationship that he had with God the Father was gone. He was paying for our sins, and God let him feel that pain. And you hear like he turned his back on him. He let him feel it. He's like, hey, this is what you're here for. Now feel it. You're here to pay for their sins, and God let him pay. I just can't imagine that hurt or that grief that Jesus was feeling through there. We try to, I say Jesus was just like us. He was of the human flesh, but he wasn't just like us. Jesus is Jesus, the Son of God. But I can't imagine the pain he was feeling. People have hurt me before, and it hurt. I've hurt people, and that hurt me worse, that I've caused that pain. But that still doesn't compare to what Jesus was feeling. It's just, how many times have you felt sorrowful? People have hurt you, or you've hurt other people. It doesn't compare to what Jesus was feeling. Man. So we think like our whole world's ruined. Like, this is crazy. That's wild. Maybe last night, whatever you were doing in your room, you felt sorrowful, even to death. You felt like you have plunged into a sinkhole of agony. I can tell you, I was there. God will get you out. He truly, truly will get you out. I don't know, maybe you felt so bad in a moment, death was the only answer. I'm going to tell you, it's okay to feel that way. It's completely normal. This is life. Life is hard. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to get just wonderful and glorious. Jesus, he himself felt those same things. So it's normal. At least I think it is. I don't know. These guys can give you a better answer. They've gone to school for this for like 6-8 years and stuff. They've been doing this their whole lives. I wrote this a week and a half ago. Read it a couple times. So I don't know right or wrong. I'm just speaking from my own thoughts. I'm speaking kind of like what I feel that God spoke to me as I was preparing this. But I think it's okay. I think it's okay for us to feel that. Because Jesus felt it. Like if Jesus is feeling it, and the Word is telling us that he felt it, it has to be okay for me to feel it, right? Like, man, wow, it's pretty crazy. But I think we have to also look at, it's okay to feel like that because Jesus felt it, but as we feel it, we also have to look at, what did Jesus do when he felt those things? You know what I mean? Like, if we're going to mirror him in his suffering and his pain, we have to mirror him in his faith too. We have to. That's what we're supposed to do. We see how alive Jesus is. He's a man. He's of human flesh. He's just like us. Yes, he's Son of God, but he's of the flesh. He felt the same way, the same exact way we have. Jesus was suffering. Jesus suffered. And suffering, it sucks. I said it earlier. I'll say it again. Maybe I'll get counseled later for saying sucks in chapel, but suffering sucks. If chaplain does pull me in his office and say, hey, Gunny, you really can't say sucks in church. I'm like, well, that sucks. You know, it's like, oh, I can't do it, you know? But suffering does suck. And in verse 35, Jesus went on a little farther away from them. He fell to the ground and prayed. Now remember, at this time, like the posture for prayer was standing up. That's how the men prayed. They prayed standing up. But Jesus fell to the ground and prayed. He asked that, if possible, he would not have this time of suffering. Man, if possible, he would not have this time of suffering. Now remember, he's praying to God the Father. And he's just like, God, if possible, can I not have this time of suffering? So just to recap and make sure we're all going in the same motion here. Last Supper, just finished. Rolled across that little valley, went to Gethsemane, told his disciples, hey, chill out, I'm going to roll out, go pray. Hey, homeboys, let's roll. Takes Peter, James, and John. They go out. Hey, guys, hang out right here. I'm going to go a little further. Went away. He was troubled, stressed, plunged into a sinkhole of agony, felt like death, fell to the ground, and he prayed. It's like, you read that, and he prayed. He's like, if possible, is there any other ways? It's like, man. Remember, Jesus knew why he was on earth. He knew what he was coming for. And I'm reading this, and I'm like, whoa, I'm in my room. I'm like, man, he didn't even want to do this. Like, that's why he was here. But he didn't want to do it. Holy crap. Like, I kind of always thought Jesus, like, took it with open arms. You know, because it's Jesus. Like, he can do everything. Like, he's going to come to earth. And I never really thought that Jesus, like, I don't know, I'm embarrassed to say it. I never really thought Jesus kind of felt it. Like, we've watched Passion for the Christ, Son of God, the Bible series. I've watched them all, and I was like, man, that's some really good special effects. Like, that's what I was thinking all the times I've ever watched it. I'm like, wow, that looks so real. Man, they really got a guy that looked like Jesus. I've never seen Jesus, but I've seen pictures growing up, and I'm like, that dude looks like Jesus. Like, you guys are laughing because you thought the same thing. I never really thought that Jesus felt it. I really didn't, because I'm like, he didn't have to. He didn't want it. Like, he could have just been like, I don't want to feel this. But he felt it. I was like, man, that just blows my mind. Like, he knew what he was about to feel, that abandonment from God the Father, and now he fell to the ground. He's just like, hey, if there's any other way, we can work out a deal here. I really don't want to do this. That hit me, and it floored me. I was like, I never thought that Jesus didn't want to do this. Wow. He really was human. He felt it. Like, everything, the stress, the anxiety, he was just overwhelmed. Like, Jesus was kind of freaking out a little bit, and he's just kind of like, God, I don't want to go through with this. And I relate even more to Jesus through this because I've prayed the same prayer. I have. In those same words, I'm like, hey, if it's possible, I don't want to go through this suffering. Like, can you kind of, you're part of the Red Sea, can you kind of just throw some, throw a little something at me, give me a little something? Like, come on, God, I don't want to do this. I'm getting overwhelmed here. It's like, wow, man, Jesus didn't want to do this. Like, let it sink in really quick. Jesus Christ, the Son of God, sent here to die and pay the price for our sins, didn't want to do it. Man, I kind of got a little upset. I was like, man, I thought we're cool. It's, man. Just kind of picture, like, you just see a little child crossing the street, mom's talking to whoever on the street corner, you see a little kid in the street, busy street, and you see it, and you're like, you're going to run out there, you're going to jump, throw the kid out of the way, take the hit in front of the car. Yeah, we'll all do that. We really don't want to do it. It's kind of, as I'm reading this, like, you don't want to do things that you end up doing. As a drill instructor, I used to always read Medal of Honor citations. And I used to always choose, like, junior Marines enlisted, because the recruits can relate to that. I'm not going to read about Captain so-and-so Medal of Honor, because an 18-year-old recruit's just kind of like, I'll never be a captain. But I'm reading these, and I'm like, think about all the grenades. We read all the citations, like, PFC Jones jumped on a grenade, saved 20 of his friendly comrades. And you're like, I think, like, did he really want to do that? Did he really jump on it, or did he get pushed? Or it's in boot camp, like, just to train, not haze recruits. Drones are able to throw a pine cone when you're out at BWT, if you're on the East Coast, throw a pine cone, like, grenade! And you see like 4 recruits jump on it. It's just kind of like you're ingrained in it. But did they really want to do that? They did it. They saved the lives of their brothers. Did they want to? Right here, Jesus, he didn't want to do it. It was just crazy. It was just, it blows my mind. And I know you guys constantly sit there and think, I really don't want to do this. I don't want to go through with this. Remember, I told you, all those feelings are normal. Jesus felt them. You know, it's okay to think that. Right now, some of you are like, I just kind of like triggered a few memories, and you're like, yeah, I said that this morning. You know, God, I really don't want to do this. And you're kind of blocking me out a little bit because you're talking to God. Go for it. Talk to God before you listen to me. But you're actually talking, saying, God, I don't want to go through with this. Like when you leave here, you're gonna go. You could talk to family, or you could have an email waiting for you, or a text message, and it's just gonna. You can leave here great, but as soon as you get that next news, you're like, oh God, why? Why me? I don't want to do this. You know, it's okay. You feel like you're gonna sink into that plunge into that sinkhole of agony. It's all right. I don't want pain. I don't. Remember, neither did Jesus. I don't want to suffer. Suffering sucks. Well, Jesus knew that suffering sucks, and he didn't want to suffer. Remember, it's okay to feel that way. You know, I think we also have to, I said earlier, we have to share Jesus' pain and suffering and relate to him, but we have to also share that same faith that Jesus had. And we have to remember that it's not what I want. We can ask God constantly, I don't want to do this. Not right now. Everything in my life is going great. I don't want to go through with this. Now, guess what? It's not what you want. It's what he wants. And we see in verse 36, Jesus said, Abba, Father, you can do all things. Don't make me drink from this cup. But do what you want, not what I. So one more time, Jesus is like pleading to God. Like he already did it once. Now he's doing it again. Like he's really trying to like send home his point. He's like, Father, you can do everything. Don't make me do this. I don't want to drink from this cup. But he ends it with just, do what you want, not what I want. I think that's something that we need to do more of. You know, because constantly we're always finding excuses. We're always pointing. I don't want to do this. It's his fault. I don't want to do that. It's not what we want. It's what he wants. You know, it's just, he struggled that anxiety, the stress, the fear. Jesus was scared. He was so scared he begged, like, Father, don't make me drink from this cup. I don't want to do it. And it's just, and then we think about the cup, because I was kind of like, don't make me drink from this cup. I know it's like a metaphor somewhere in there, but if we dig back into the Old Testament before Jesus, on Psalm 75:8, the Lord has a cup in his hand. It is filled with the poisoned wine of his anger. This cup, it's in God's hand, and it's filled with the poisoned wine of his anger. He will pour out this wine, and the wicked will drink it to the last drop. The wicked will drink it to the last drop. Jeremiah 25:15-16 says, take this cup of wine from my hand. It is the wine of my anger. That's God's anger. That is the wine of God's anger. I'm sending you to all the nations, everywhere, all the nations. Make them drink from this cup. They will vomit and act crazy. They will do this because of the war that I will soon bring against them. Man, poisoned wine of his anger, the wine of my anger. This is God we're talking about. So when Jesus is sitting there saying, you can do all things, don't make me drink from this cup. Wow. Jesus knows what the cup is. The cup's full of God's anger. And Jesus is saying, God, Father, don't make me drink from this cup. I don't want to do this. So I just read this, and it's like, as I started like kind of putting this all together, I was like, man, like I relate so much. Like I'm on the same page as Jesus. And I'm like, wow. And it kind of put into perspective what Jesus Christ actually did for us. Because like I said before, I really didn't think that Jesus felt anything. I was just like, I don't know, maybe it's just the Marine in me where it's just like, yeah, we're going to go through the motions. You know, it's like I have to go to sit through a class of sexual assault or hazing class, and it's just, we're sitting there going through the motions. We really are, okay? It's like I give those classes, and I run out there and I'm like, okay, hazing. Don't make people drink beer out of a funnel unless they really, really want to, and then it's still